You guys, it's Rebels Remembered Day. It's been 4 years since the last episode of the last season of Star Wars Rebels. I figured to celebrate the day, I wanted to make something special. I got this idea a long time ago and really wanted to make it. Basically, my husband wears a sleep mask when he sleeps at night to help prevent the light and all that. And he was lamenting the fact that they didn't have any nerdy sleep masks. And I was like, I should make one. So I am making a Kanan themed sleep mask for Rebels Remembered Day. So without further ado, let's get to it. So the first step of this process is you need to measure the person you're making a mask for. Try your best not to strangle them with the measuring tape. Okay, so I've done a fairly basic sketch of my pattern. For measurements, all I did was measure about how far from end to end I wanted the mask to stretch. This is from the top of the head where you're wanting the top of the mask to be, kind of down to about how low you want it on the face, right above the eye. And then this measurement I took from the top of the head, or top of forehead or whatever, and then down to about the point on the nose where you want it to sit. This mask is bigger than the average sleep mask because I'm purposefully oversizing it to make it look more like Kanan's mask in Star Wars Rebels. So this is our pattern. I'm gonna kind of define the lines a little bit better here, and then we'll cut it out and get it ready for sewing. Okay, so we've got our pattern piece all cut out here. And now it's time to cut out our 3 pieces of fabric. We've got the top fabric, we need to iron this. Back fabric, which is I've got a sort of silky satin fabric since it's comfortable for your eyes. And then I've got some of this fusible fleece. This is just the Pilon quilting fusible fleece. Since I've got what I'm working with here, I'll just line this up on this fabric the way that I want it, and we are gonna pin this. We can cut them out at the same time now, instead of having to cut one and then having to cut another one and then having them be like weird sizes. We just don't need that. I've got the silkiest part right here. This is the part I want on my face. So that's the right direction because it's going to be on the back of the mask, and this is the front of the mask. Let's cut. You're probably wondering, why did I not cut out the fleece with the other 2? And that is because I want the fleece to be just a bit smaller than everything else. Basically, I don't want to include it in my seam allowance so that I don't get a bunch of bulk around the edge when I turn it. Push it up right against the edge here, pin it. So I'm still using my pattern as the thing to base my cut on, but I will end up cutting it smaller when I turn it around. You'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so we've got that all cut out. Now when we turn it around to the back, we will be able to cut it down shorter and still keep visual on the edge of our pattern piece. So I want to cut it down about 1/4 an inch all the way around. Okay, so we've got our fleece cut around the edge about 1/4 an inch. It's not perfect, but it's mostly just so that I can cut down on the bulk that will be on the edges when I turn this. Okay, we're just gonna press our cotton. Don't really need to press the satin, it doesn't really wrinkle. So I'm ironing it, pressing it flat just before we fuse the fleece to the cotton. Okay, to make sure that you're not gonna do any damage to the fleece while you're fusing it, you wanna make sure that the kind of like sticky, shiny side, that's like the glue on the back, is facing upright. And then you want the right side of your fabric to be facing you. So this is gonna be the front of the mask that everybody's going to see. This is going to be the inside. So I'm placing this on top. I'm actually gonna flip it over really fast just to make sure that I have it lined up well. But then I'm going to use this side though to actually fuse it. So it says to press firmly for about 10 seconds. Okay, let's see how that did. If it's not fused completely, then you can just, keep pressing until it looks fused. I'm just gonna kind of pull out the edges a little bit to see if any of them come up. So far, so good. Yep, that is decently fused. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pin just my opening area so that I know where to start and stop, because that's just easier on my brain. Don't have to work as hard. Okay, I kind of forgot a very important step. Arguably the most important step. So, elastic. You need that. That's important. You're gonna put that in between the two layers here. Just to pin this little guy together. Golly, this is thick. Oh dearie. I am going through like 3 layers though. Okay, we're just gonna hold that there for a second and then I'll pull it out in a minute. So this is like really big, heavy duty elastic because this is what my husband finds comfortable. He doesn't like the little tiny elastic that is often found in sleep masks. So doing this one for him, even though the smaller elastic is way easier to sew with. So if you don't have somebody picky, go with a smaller sized elastic. Okay, now this part in the middle can move around if it needs to. That's not a big deal. We just want to make sure that it stays away from the edge. So you don't want this to like fall that way, but because of the nature of this elastic, I am not terribly worried about that. Okay, back to pinning the rest of this. Fun fact, I typically talk a lot during this part of my video, and I almost always edit it out with like a time lapse or something. So I'm pretty much just talking to myself at this point, which I find amusing. Okay, so we're going to start here, sew all the way around, back stitch here, also back stitch when you start. Okay, let's go sew this. Okay, let's take this back to the table. Okay, what we're gonna do now is kind of clip in this little rounded, like just kind of everywhere. Honestly, we're going all the way around. Because when you turn this, you don't want there to be like weird bulky parts. So you're clipping close to the stitches, but you are not clipping the actual stitches. That will not do good for anyone. And we don't want to clip into our little opening here, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump over that. Okay. Clipped very well all the way around. So now, moment of truth, let's turn this right side out and see what we're working with here. Okay. Now we're gonna get our turner tool. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's called that purple thing, and it's a really handy turning tool. You can use a chopstick or the end of a pen, but this is just super convenient. And it's like designated for my sewing, so I don't have to go and like hunt down a pen somewhere. So now we are going to fold this in here and kind of press it flat-ish, and use a lower setting on your iron just because we are working with satin and elastic now, not just cotton. Okay, let's go top stitch this. Top stitched around and the job is done. Okay, now the last step of this process is to cut out this design to put on top of the mask. Just gonna make it. We want to make sure we hit this right here, this mirror button, so that it will look the right way when we put it on. Then we're gonna say continue. Okay, then we're gonna say everyday iron on. Okie dokie. This is all ready to go, so now we're just gonna prepare our vinyl. We want to make sure that we put this on shiny side down. So you can sort of tell when you're looking in the light, this is shinier than this. So this part is like plasticky looking. This is the part that you want to make sure it's facing down on your mat. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's load this in. And we've got our fine cut blade in here. Pull this out. I always do this, pull the mat away from the vinyl trick. It helps it so that your vinyl doesn't get all curly. We're gonna be taking the outside off. There is the basic shape. There are a couple little tiny things to pull out of the middle of this one here. So this design has a little bit of a almost like painted style. Also Cricut Hack. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and there are a lot of Cricut hacks and YouTube videos. I'm like creating shadows. Actively creating shadows on my work here. This is a little condiment container that I got from the Dollar Tree. And then I just cut a little hole in the bottom, so whenever I weed my design, I just pop it in there and it holds everything in here. Super simple. Okay. We are all done with our design here. Now let's go and put it on the mask. Okay, I got my iron heated up. I cut this down the middle just so that I could place these Jedi's the way that I wanted to on my particular mask. So feel free to do that as well. Pull this elastic up. It's easier to iron it when there's not that to worry about. Okay, I've got my Teflon sheet here. I'm just gonna slide it in here. This will help to make the heat transfer work a little bit faster and protect your project at the same time. So I'm just gonna go in here. I'm gonna press this for about 30 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna go to the other side and do the same thing. Press for about 30 seconds. Okay, now we're gonna check it, see if there are any spots that we need to look at a little bit closer. You can usually tell when this is actually transferred well when you see like little bubbles on the surface of the thing, which I don't currently. Well, there's a couple on this side. I think I need to press this side again. It doesn't look like it's firmly on there yet. Okay, let's check this again, see how we're doing. This side just does not feel like it's transferring. But I could just be wrong. Let me try pulling it up. Yeah, it looks like I was just wrong. It's pulling up just fine. Just fine, friends. Okay. So now we're just gonna pull up both of the plastic pieces. Make sure everything stuck well. And it did. Okay, and there you have it. An eye mask for sleeping that looks like Kanan's mask from Star Wars Rebels. This is pretty exciting. All right, now we just have to go and try it on my husband. Okay, honey, you ready to try it on?
Sure.
There you go.
Cool. All right.
Moment of truth.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's nice and dark. Very cool. Feels so Jedi-like.
You look so Jedi-like.